what I did most recently was work on the triangle ball polystyrene drawing project. Drawing a few small triangles with a black ultrafine Sharpie marker. And then I drew a couple small triangles using a red ultrafine Sharpie marker in accordance with the pattern I've established for the triangle ball polystyrene drawing project. I worked at Wegmans today from 9:30 in the morning to 6 p.m. Around 8:45 in the morning, I had the last two Texas hots with some of a thermos that was full of plain coffee. I sipped at the rest during the car drive to Wegmans, Mom driving me there. After I got ready, around the time I had the last two Texas hots, I woke up for the last time today around 7 in the morning. I decided to get up at that time, as I originally had my alarm set for 8 in the morning. And basically decided that at that point it was too close to bother taking the time to fall asleep again. And that I had slept enough at that point. And I was pretty much right. I didn't feel tired at any point during my shift. Just a little sluggish. In the hour before, and in roughly the first 2 hours after I took my first 15-minute break at 1:30 p.m., I recall going to bed around 1 in the morning, waking up around 3:45 in the morning, but I managed to fall back asleep. during the first hour of today, I recall having essentially all of the normal Reese's peanut butter cups from the bowl of leftover Halloween candy. I took my lunch. Initially, I was going to take it at 4 p.m., but I ended up taking it around 3:30 p.m. As a coworker, I believe as a supervisor of sorts, told me that at 4 p.m. there would be a conference training on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And that meeting was roughly from 4 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. Me and some of my fellow coworkers sat in a conference room and watched a sort of PowerPoint presentation with some videos embedded in. And I feel it was pretty successful in reaffirming Wegmans' values of equity, diversity, and inclusion, among other values such as care and high standards. It's important to ensure that every business is a place where everyone can feel welcome to be themselves. For me, I don't think I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures and perspectives, but one thing I live by is to just be kind and polite towards everyone. Essentially living by the golden rule. I took my last 15-minute break at 5:30 p.m. And by the time it was over, my shift was pretty much over. I had 2 mild cheddar cheese sticks during my first 15-minute break. And during the 30-minute lunch, which I accidentally forgot to clock in as a lunch, but as soon as I realized that, as I was getting back after eating the sushi and drinking the bottle of whole milk of Brine Dairy whole milk, I told I immediately told that same coworker that told me about the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion conference meeting training. And he told me that he would resolve the issue, essentially manually entering that information in, that I took my lunch from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. So it'll all be taken care of. I think what partially contributed to me forgetting was the sudden change of plans. And having to make a decision to take the lunch earlier than I initially planned due to being told about the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion training. That would start at 4 p.m. I recall throughout my shift, the most frequent thing I restocked was the banana section and the hard item section, which most prominently features our various onions and potatoes. Though at times I also restocked wall items such as some fresh produce merchandise. And I also restocked some tropical produce. I restocked the wall items and the tropical produce primarily because a passing customer got my attention and then asked if we had items from those sections. When I saw it wasn't out, I then went to the produce holding area, found it either myself or by asking one of my coworkers that happened to be also in the produce holding area at the time I went in. I would then get that item and restock it. Though I recall during my shift I first restocked from the carrot runner after I first restocked the banana section for the first time. At one point during my shift later on, while restocking some sweet potatoes, I encountered one rotten sweet potato that had gray mold on it and the bottom half was mushy, but I was able to pull that potato, as well as a handful of other potatoes that I also pulled just to be on the safe side. And then I washed my cut-proof gloves, entirely washed them, which in retrospect probably wasn't that good of an idea, as the gloves were left damp for a long time after doing that, but the intention was to ensure they didn't have any of the rotten potato on them, none of that residue, so I wouldn't get it on other sweet potatoes I restocked at that time. Another time within the last 2 hours of my shift, I got this little scratch from, oddly enough, a paper bag of 8 5-pound bags of white potatoes, all within that one paper bag. One of 3 I was restocking from at the time. I pretty much immediately washed it with soap and hot water, or at least warm water. It takes some time for the sink water to heat up. I would say somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds. My mom was there to pick me up when I ended my shift at 6 p.m. I recall the last thing I was doing was restocking 3-pound mesh bags of baby red potatoes from a box of them, kind of rectangular shaped, that I got from the produce holding area.